I feel like after watching this movie that there was this happiness, after watching it that you get when you listen to the Beatles. Is that something that you guys wanted to capture? That feeling, that excitement of listening to a band that good?
I love you saying that, because I feel as though all my efforts to make films have always fundamentally been reaching for that feeling you get with the Beatles, a kind of ecstasy, a joy, and yet an intimacy.
And a love, the love of love, for love's sake, really, the dedication to that. And the comedy, they were very, very funny. The four guys were very funny.
Yeah.
Richard's a very, very funny writer.
Funniest band of all time.
They were the funniest.
Not in their content, but between each other they were witty.
Yeah, very, very witty. Yeah. So you'd fail miserably if you didn't get that feeling of joy at the end of a film about them that concerns them in some way. Yeah.
It inspires that magic that I think we forget sometimes when we don't listen to the Beatles.
Well, it was so exciting to have this sort of list of songs and then try and think of the situation in which the use of that song would be most extraordinary, So if the first one you played was Yesterday, what a thought. And at one point there's a songwriting competition between Ed Sheeran and our hero, and the fact that he's allowed to just go the long and winding road, you think he's lost. Ed's lost the competition, and then we do a Back in the USSR when he goes to Russia. So it was so much fun, because normally when you write, it all comes from you. Whereas in this thing, it was like I had all these fabulous ingredients in the drawer that I could call out.
That's the next 2 minutes looked
Yeah,
after.
I'll have some of that. I'll have some chipotle. Yeah.
Did you always have Ed in the script, or was that something that you guys brought on organically?
No, Ed was very much fourth or fifth choice. We've been through most of the young male artists of his generation. No, I did at one point have Chris Martin, which was obviously a mistake, because the movie's really about Ed, about him and Suffolk, where he comes from, and the fact that he's now engaged to a girl he went to school with, and he's learnt the lesson himself. So it's really lovely for us he's in it.
And he has a great sense of humour, which he needs, because obviously the script pokes a bit of fun at him.
I thought you were going to say he needs, because he's got such a funny face.
No, I would never say that.
Sorry.
Not in his presence anyway, only on television. But he was so generous, he gave us the access to his crowd, because he was on this world tour, he was in London, and he was at Wembley, and he allowed us to film there the 4 nights that he was there with 80,000 people every night for Himesh to play his, the concert at the end of the film. So that's an amazing resource to be given by one of your actors. Yeah.
Now I got to ask about the casting of Jack, because what an incredible character to give to any actor, and you guys could go out and you give to somebody that is kind of relatively unknown.
Yes, and there's a wonderful thing about that, because he's launched into a stardom. So that distance between what you think of him at the beginning and what he's launched into is enormous, really.
In a way, that is the dream. I mean, we did see some more famous actors for the part, but there's always that secret thing about, wouldn't it be great if you're making a film about, as it were, a no one, to have someone that not many people have heard of, because you would have suspected, if it had been Chris Pratt, that he was going to get good in the end.
And there was, yes, that's right. But and of course he does. At the end, he goes back to the beginning again. He gives it all up because he realizes that her love for him is more important, that he meets that he answers that fulsomely, than actually the trajectory of the fame, really, and all that has brought him.